We are live.
All right.
Oh man, we got a party going on here. 5. I think this is the first time we've got 5 going on. So what is going on? All you amazing people out there in the Omniverse. If you don't already know, we're kind of here hopping up, giving some sneak peeks about the Innovation Spotlight, which is a new feature that's integrated into the LCI Congress, which is going to be happening in Arlington, Texas, in like less than a month.
I know.
And so today we got Todd and John. They're going to let us know what they're bringing for all the folks out there. So let's get started with introductions. I'm going to go with Mr. Todd. Would you mind letting the world know who you be?
Yes, I am Todd Lackey. We're from Ruby & Associates, a Degenkolb company. I'm an associate principal. I've been working here for a little over 20 years. Started off, my first 10 years was as a structural steel fabricator. And then I got my engineering degree. And then the rest is history. Been here, like I said, for over 20 years.
Nice.
Building things better.
Beautiful. Excellent. Thank you, sir. Miss Eileen, I mean, you're already a pro, but just in case there's one human being out there that doesn't know you, who are you, sister?
So I am Eileen Goldberg with LCI. I work with strategic partnerships, sponsorships, exhibits, webinars. If you haven't heard my voice, shame on you. But I am here to help. I help run the Innovation Spotlight, and I'd love to hear what these guys have to say.
10-4. Thank you, Miss Eileen. Mr. John, how are you, my friend?
I'm well. My name is John Wren. I'm the new guy here over at Ruby & Associates, a Degenkolb company. Joined the firm about 2 years ago. And in the previous lives, I spent 23 years on the owner side working with General Motors. Had the opportunity to come over to the consultant side. And it was really the lean steel opportunity that brought me from the owner side over to the light side or dark side, whichever side you want to call it, back to the consultant world. So happy to be here today. Thanks for the invitation there, Jess.
Thank you, man. I'm glad you're here, man. We're going to have some fun. And then we got the famous lady, Jennifer Lacey. Why are you always doing these live streams?
You keep pulling me in. I don't have an option. So Jennifer Lacey, work with Robbins and Morton, been with them a little over 22 years. Lead a lot of our lean initiatives, all of our kind of our building forward approach, which is, balancing the culture of taking care of people with our lean implementation. Also co-chairing our LCI Congress this year in Arlington with Keon Zandy. And super excited about these live streams specifically, Jesse, because this is new this year. This is something that we worked with LCI on. Hey, can we do something that highlights some of these platforms and programs and things that are happening that maybe don't make it all the way into the breakout sessions? And so super excited about celebrating them today.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of kind of the stinky parts, right? Is you go to Congress, there's a whole bunch of amazing things happening, and you just can't get to all of them, right? Like it just ain't gonna happen. And so hopefully this will give people some flavor and sway them y'all's way. And so John and Todd, I don't know how much you know me, but my spelling is horrible, meaning I'm blind to typos. So I made lean steel. Did I spell steel correctly? No?
No.
Okay.
Close.
False, close. All right, let me fix that bad boy. How about now? Do I get brownie points?
There we go. Yeah.
There we go. Now you're on the right track.
Lean steel. So what is this lean steel thing? I mean, Todd, John, you talked about how it was an intriguing idea and exciting thing to be a part of, but you're also bringing it to Congress as the Innovation Spotlight. So what is the thing?
Well, I'll let Todd talk a little bit about the branding, right? But I got involved with it before it was lean steel, and we were faced with an issue at General Motors where at the time it was the largest project my group had ever put together. It was over $1 billion in facility work. It was 4 body shop plants for a truck program. So if you're familiar with the automotive world, full-size pickups are king. That's where General Motors makes a lot of their money. One of the projects was actually about a half a mile or a mile away from Congress in Arlington, Texas, at the Cadillac Escalade plant there in Arlington. And I've known Todd for a little bit of time before that. And another gentleman from a builder came to me and says, John, we're going to get rid of shop drawings and design drawings, and we're going to get your steel done for you way, way faster and take away a lot of headache from you. And I looked at them like they were all nuts. Like, there's no way we can do this. I was used to a very rigid process. I need to have my 30% design review. I need to see this. I need to see the specs. Then I need to see your shop drawings. So this skipping all those steps and was very kind of unnerving for me for a little while. But those projects worked out to be some of the best projects that I've ever been associated with.
Wow.
So at the end, I was a big believer, and I was just like, wow, this is the way we need to do it. I think from an engineering standpoint, we're getting away from the handoffs between people. Technology is getting better. This was a natural evolution of it. And for me, it was a bit of a leap of faith that obviously paid off greatly, because here I sit today and I have the opportunity to pitch it here to everybody a little bit later. So I'll let Todd kind of tell the other side of the story and how they came about, how Lean Steel came into being a little bit.
Yeah, I want to hear it, because I'm like, just the words Lean Steel, that sounds like a super cool tattoo, like a neck tattoo even. What's the story, Todd?
Well, starting off in the fab world, I like to say back in the 1990s, when I was doing, I started off in the fab shop, actually laying out steel. Then I got brought into engineering, and I was drawing steel, where I was actually, on a drafting board doing stuff. After 10 years of doing that, moving to AutoCAD during that process, I wound up getting my degree. And when I came out, I thought, hey, this was, I'm the smartest engineer. And then I walked into Rubin Associates at the time, and I realized, well, there's a lot of really smart people out there. And I looked at a way to try to generate, another revenue stream. Starting off in the drafting board, you saw a lot of people that, we had a big drafting department. AutoCAD came in, the drafting department started getting a little smaller. And then, 3D software, Tekla SDS2 for steel detailing. Again, it was making things a little bit softer, but making things a little faster, right? And since I already had the structural steel detailing background, and for those who don't know, we got engineers that put the lines on paper, and then you have a structural steel detailer that actually makes drawings of those particular members with the holes, the welds, and everything else that goes into the shop. So as the evolution of the industry I was in, I was seeing that, there's, we're able to, with this technology that was coming out, there was, we needed less people to do things. And I was like, okay, well, how can I capitalize on the software technology that we have with the experience that we have in-house, and, parlay that into, something different. And that something different was that, hey, we'll design your building, and on top of that, we'll do the shop fabrication details and the connection design all at one time. And I think that doing that, you kind of, of the top 8 waste in lean construction, you got, overproduction or excess processing, and waiting, right? And I think that when you get into that realm of design, and then, we get it to, a structural engineer takes it to one level, and then they hand it off to another entity, a fabricator that hires a connection designer. That connection designer does not, intimate with the project as a structural engineer is. And, they have to, you generate RFIs and questions and everything else that goes through, and then it comes back to the EOR, and then from that connection designer, they're taking that information and giving it to the steel detailer, so they can then put all those images on paper that need to go to the fab shop to be built. Really it was a process of, trying to figure out a faster way to do things. And as John alluded to, it was 4 body shops that, they needed to get done in a year and a half, basically from, start to finish. And the process that I thought of that would work on this is we'll do the shop fabrication details. And when I pitched that to the higher ups in my company, they thought I was crazy too. Because,
Yes.
we were doing small jobs inside house, but this is now all of a sudden we were going to a 25,000 to 30,000 ton job that we were going to be controlling. So that was, something new that we pitched. And like I said, it, cut back on some of that waste, that overproduction and that waiting time.
Nice. And then you attacked it. I love it. And I got a bazillion questions, but we got some comments. We got Miss Jamie Knox. She says, woo-hoo. So she's going to be hanging out with us out there in Congress. And then got Miss Lenora hitting me on the hand with the ruler because of my spelling. No, they are not stealing. They're not thieves. We're talking about steal. Thank you, Lenora. I'm glad that kind of brought a smile. So Jennifer, question.
Yes.
Did you give them a script to say, make sure you list out some of the 8 wastes while you're talking on this live stream?
I did not. And I think that's the magic of one, being able to have them come on and share kind of a little background of how they got here, because and Eileen, I'm gonna let you chime in after I finish with what I mess up. But we always have the trade show. So we have the trade show areas to where people can sign up. They have a booth, and then when people come by, they can do the one-on-one conversations, and that's been great. But there's also probably people that miss being able to have some intentional conversations, or even understand what they are representing and what they say, what their sell is, what their service is. And so I'm so excited about these innovation spotlights is it's giving firms like Lean Steel the opportunity to speak to a mass of people and give the background, like Todd said, here's how it connects to Lean. Here's how it helps us improve these ways. Here's how it's doing these things. And you know what? It was a crazy idea, and we didn't even know what was going to happen, and they didn't know what was going to happen, but we tried it, and now here's where we are. And so there's going to be people that are super excited about what their service is going to provide, but it's also going to get people's minds going, well, I got an idea. And well, and so I think it's multiple ways of them being able to communicate their value, but also putting a lot of people in a place to be able to hear the story, where in the booth, sometimes they don't get all that background. They just kind of get the service and what's there. And so for me, that's the magic of all of this. And I gave nobody a script. So great job.
And Jen, I agree with you. And the thing is, year after year, we get a delta. And for those of you who are not familiar with the term, pluses are things you thought added value. Deltas are things you think we can improve to add more value to everyone that comes to Congress. And one of the deltas that we keep getting is there is no technology track or anything like that where people can learn about the newest and greatest things in technology as it relates to Lean. So I think one of the really great things about the Innovation Spotlight is we're bringing that as well. So hopefully we'll turn that delta into a plus and give people what it is that they've been looking for. Because again, it's been a delta for many years, but now we have the Innovation Spotlight and we can shine that light on the newest technology as it relates to Lean and goes forward.
Oh, gangsta. So all the Lean stuff is in practice here. We're not talking about a PowerPoint, for real. This is what Lean Steel does, why they did it, the waste they eliminated. The integration of the Innovation Spotlight was in response to Plus Delta. The idea of continuous improvement is built into it. And I'm just here because I'm a pretty face. Now, I got a question. So we got the background, we got some history. For somebody that's coming to your spotlight, your section, guys, what should I expect? How can I best prepare to get the most out of your spotlight session?
I think it's really kind of a story of more so of implementation than it is the technology itself. I think Todd and I spoke this morning a little bit about kind of where we wanted to go. And we have a nice little promotional video and some other stuff for the booth, but we wanted to talk kind of the how we got there and kind of the behind the scenes and what were the little, I don't know, the causes or the reasons that pushed us to do what we had to do, right? And really a lot of it was the technology opened our eyes to things that could be, right? So the first
Perfect.
couple times we went through this, it was just to get shop drawings out quicker. Second time we did it, as an owner, I got a ton of education from Todd from the fabricator side that says, hey, Mr. Owner, here's some things you can do to make your building go up quicker. And then those conversations really made it the product that it is today. But it wasn't just, we went to some developer, they made some software and you push a button and you go. There was a lot of collaboration behind the scenes that made it go. So I think that's a little bit the story we're ready to tell people, and maybe give some people some ideas on how to, like, you know, push this to the higher ups and kind of make it go. So
yeah. So okay, Todd, I'm coming at you, my friend, because it sounds like you were the mad scientist, right? You saw the gap, you saw the opportunity. And
Yes.
so true or false? When you pitched the idea, everybody said, hell yeah, Todd, great idea. Let's do it. And everybody in the value stream said, phenomenal. Yes, I love it.
Yeah, I wish it was that easy. You know, I think it was. You know, I've always been a dreamer of Pisces. That's what, you know. I don't believe it. I mean, I have, but there's a Pisces behind me that, you know, is a dreamer, and you know, I look to, you know, do something big and different. You know, and every day I wake up, I try to do the same thing. But, you know, this was, you know, again, there was a big hesitation, and it wasn't just a hesitation on my management, because when you own the shop fabrication details, there's a huge liability. We're talking millions and millions of dollars worth of steel that you're controlling the destiny for a fabricator. So there definitely was some hesitation in that, right? And on top of the hesitation, you know, there was a hesitation from the contractor that was doing it too. There was a big, like, well, we want to control the detailing, you know, can we do that? And I'm like, well, that's not how it works. If you really want to truly be lean. And, you know, to be honest, I was throwing around lean, you know, before I really knew there was a lean institute, to be honest with you. I was trying to be, you know, to figure out a way to circumvent the RFI, circumvent the delays, and be, you know, speed to market industrial manufacturing is huge, right?
Yeah.
And so, you know, that was the process that we put together, was like, okay, how fast can we get this thing done? And, you know, and one of my biggest, you know, my biggest memories of being at a fab shop was how fast can we push steel through the plant, right? And how fast can we load up trucks and get them out the door and get them in the air? And, you know, that was great. You know, we had a record on one of the projects, said that, you know, a record we set was, you know, we set 108 pieces in one day. You know, now that might not sound like a lot but to me, I was like, oh, that's awesome, right? You know, that's advertising. That's proof right there that, you know, the process is working, right? And, you know, to John's point, you know, he was wearing a different hat at the time, and for him to not see a set of design drawings, you know, we would print out progress sets for him to review, but, you know, the end, you know, we're producing an occupied structure at the end, and, you know, we'll give you your as-built set when it's done. We'll fill you in with the details that you know, that you need to know. And, you know, another thing too is that we were able to pivot quickly on changes. You know, part of the thing that we alluded in our spotlight that we talk about was that when it comes to manufacturing, that process is ever changing and evolving. You know, we get owners that don't really know exactly how they want to build it, but they know they need a footprint to build it in. If they could build it outside, they would. But, you know, this process not only does it help be leaner, you know, it helps us to be more agile and make those changes quickly without disrupting the whole production chain.
Wow. So it's mutually beneficial for your organization, or for the manufacturing and production of the steel, and the end user, where the damn thing's going to be going up. So it smooths it out for everybody involved.
Yeah, for sure, right? And, you know, and on top of that, there's you know, we talk again. You know, I'm not trying to keep on hitting on the waiting and the you know, the excessive processing, but, you know, all these delays that are handled by sudden changes that needed to happen, we were already, you know, putting the fabricator on notice, you know, letting them know, like, hey, you know, don't fabricate this steel. We got an issue with here, you know, we're going to fix this, and, you know, put these pieces on hold, get everything out the door faster. You know, here's your revised drawings. Here's your new material list that you need to order. But it's beneficial because you know, on top of it's cost control too. You know, we understand, you know, the cost of steel that fluctuates daily, right? You know, and that's a big portion of lean steel is trying to be able to control that cost delta that they have that you see during production.
Man, I love it.
You know what it sounds like to me? Like instead of just-in-time delivery, it's just-in-time fabrication, which is like,
yeah,
exactly.
Yes. I'm gonna say it. This sounds ultra sexy in terms of because it's the software, it's the thing, right? You're gonna be presenting on the product, the thing that you got, but the story behind it, right? And I think that's Eileen. You could tell me if I'm wrong, but I think that's what attendees that go to Congress, attendees like Miss Lisa, she says, hello, everyone. They they want to go and learn, but they want to learn like, what was it like? What did you learn? What can I expect as a practitioner if I want to deploy a new crazy idea? I am the mad scientist. What does that feel like? How far off the target am I, Eileen?
I think you're right on target. Everybody wants to leave with something they can take home and immediately use, or take home and bring to the team, or get an aha moment or something like that. And I think you're spot on, Jesse. That's what people want to take away.
Yeah. I think I'm going to make a prediction. I think you guys are going to need to have like 3 or 4 people on the sidelines just to answer questions about maybe not necessarily about your project, but like freaking deploying it and bringing it to life, because that's a big deal, man. I mean, Todd, John, y'all lived through it. It's a thing that I know that me personally, it's easy to lose steam because there's so much friction to deploying change. And something as big as what you're describing, it's not just change internally for the enterprise that you're working with. It's change for all the stakeholders in that value stream, which just amplifies the amount of friction that you have to deal with. So applause to you for like not giving up or strangling somebody, right? No throat punches. And if there were, hopefully there's no evidence. But man,
I'll the project was called M5, right? And at the end we were getting awards for it. The M5 to me, meant minus 5 years of my life, because you're right. It jokingly, right? But this was something that I wanted to see come to fruition, and I was determined to make it happen. And when you are determined to make something happen, you're going to push yourself to make it happen. And I had a great surrounding team, and they obviously helped me succeed. It wasn't me just doing it.
Yeah, 10-4. I love it. Amazing story. And we're coming up on time. So with y'all's permission, I'm going to roll us over into closing thoughts. So Jennifer Lacey, if you don't mind, closing thought, Mr. John Rad, I'm coming at you next. Jen.
Oh, mine's easy. And Todd, thank you so much. Because now anytime somebody looks at me crazy, I can go, wait, I'm a Pisces. So I am now justified in all of my crazy ideas.
I love it. Now you have an accomplice, so we're good to go. Thanks, Jen. Mr. John, what you got for us? Todd, you're next.
All right. So I would say really it's kind of that story of overcoming obstacles and trying a new thing, like who was the first guy to eat the oyster kind of a thing. So this really started we started with a lean, General Motors started with a lean consultant, led to an IPD contract, different contract, led to a whole new method of delivering steel. A new line of business spawned out of this whole thing. And it was all just based on the people going, yeah, you're crazy, but maybe we can pull this off. And then the overcoming all the naysayers. So I'm excited to be there, looking forward to it. And we can take you right next door and you can see, I don't know if you can see it. Maybe if we go on a high enough floor, you can see the plant from where we're at Congress. So looking forward to it. Thanks for the opportunity there, folks.
Oh man, amazing. Thank you, John. Mr. Todd, what you got, my friend?
I'm definitely interested. I'm excited to do the spotlight. Honestly, I know that we, doing the talk's one thing, but being on the floor, doing this, I'm part of being part of the new process here, right? And I'm excited. Obviously, I'm very passionate about the lean steel process, and what it all involves. So I look forward to the opportunity to educate everybody on the process that we do, and I'm looking forward to speaking at the event.
Yeah, man, I'm looking forward to it too. I'm gonna have to get your autograph. Miss Eileen, take us home, ma'am.
Well, first of all, I have to tell you that I was born right on the cusp of Capricorn and Aquarius. So I argue with myself constantly. So I just, so that I'm throwing that out there. I am absolutely extremely excited for Lean Steel to be there, John Todd to be there. I think people need to hear the story aspect and not just the sales aspect, which is the kind of one-to-one conversation you get at a booth, because you're just bombarded and you need to get to people as soon as you can and all of that, scan the badges. But I think actually hearing what it is that you do and your journey and your lean journey per se, I think that's what's going to make all the difference. And I'm really excited to hear how this goes for you guys. And I'll be there so I can see it as well.
Yes, thank you. All right, y'all. It's time for the choreographed dance. But before we start that, all of this amazing stuff that we're talking about is going to be happening October 20th through 24th in Arlington, Texas. LCI Construction Congress. It's happening. Sign up. Be there. Don't be scared. And Jen, can you hit the music, please?
Wait, before we do the